Wow. I don't know about you guys, but the past few weeks have been a little bit intense for me, and I can now say with a lot of relief that it looks like my sister and her twins are going to survive. Yeah, it's been that kind of the last few weeks. And it's been a bit of a whiplash. I can now say with deep and profound gratitude, though, that my sister was able to see A+ team, like a nationally awesome team of people. And she and her two little twins that she is still pregnant with were able to have some emergency surgery, and it looks like everyone is going to make it. Yeah, it's been that kind of like past month. Which, wow, now that I've said that out loud and just kind of got that out into the air, it makes a lot of sense for why I am ready to shift gears and enter into a new season. A very cozy, nourishing, heartwarming season that can be like a warm bowl of vegan chicken soup for me and just soothe the soul, because the soul feels a little bit like a bruised grape right now, if I'm honest, guys. So yeah, for those of you guys who didn't know, and I will try to put like a little trigger warning on the title of the video now that I think about it, my sister is currently pregnant with identical twins, which is amazing. That's never happened in our family before. Apparently that's happened in her husband's family, but these kinds of identical twins aren't supposed to be genetic. Just what are the odds? But the odds are actually pretty big. And it was a surprise. It was a surprise that I was getting another niece and nephew, and then it was a surprise when she went into the ultrasound and she was already pretty far along, and they're like, "Did you know that you have two?" And they didn't know they had two, because when you do genetic testing early on in a pregnancy and the genetic test comes up with only one set of DNA, that's how you can miss an identical twin. So yeah, that was so exciting. And I mentioned that to you guys a few weeks ago, I think in the last community update vlog, and it looked like things were going to be okay, and then it looked like things were definitely not okay again in the last week or so. And my sister and her halfway there twins went in and were able to get a amazing surgery that will hopefully mean that if we can just make it a few more weeks, probably everyone's going to be fine. And that's still a few more weeks where I have never been on like tether hooks quite as intensely in my entire life, because I love my family very, very much, and you guys know this. And it's kind of wild to just have so much of this outside of control of any of the things I could do. And you really have to find a place of peace so that you can also remain, you know, upbeat, and you can remain a source of stability and comfort for the people who are the more important parties than myself going through these things. And I really need to have my feet well grounded right now, even though there are these intense things going on in my family. And I realized that I could turn what recently I have dubbed the cozy curse into a whole cozy magical season for myself and for you guys. And I could really walk the walk of the talk that I often say to you guys, where even when your heart is breaking, joyful creation can heal beyond words. And I am so amazed that I've said that for the last 10 years, ever since we started our pixel biology adventures here, because I have no idea how 10 years ago Seri was able to have such deep insight and wisdom. I know the answer is that it's been a tough life in some regards, and one that I'm now able to really harvest the fruits of that toughness and be able to find my feet under myself when things get weird again, or when things get just a little bit like, woo, the waves are really going on again. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I'm realizing that, yeah, that is how I can take care of myself, and that is how I can try to restore and nourish my own strength, and make sure that I am the person I want to be for my sister and for myself and for my husband and for the rest of the world that is still, weirdly enough, continuing on, which any of you guys who have been in the center vortex of a big life thing like this, you guys know what I mean. It's so weird to look outside and be like, why are the clouds still moving? But that's because that's life. And I am really grateful in the last few weeks to have ended up marrying a philosopher who has deeply studied Buddhism, because boy, does he ever have the right thing to say when I need it. And I realized that even though it's going to be a lot more weeks of writing this out and just knowing that whatever happens, we have put our feet on the best possible path. And so whatever happens, we know that we've gone down the best possible routes and have walked down that. So it's going to be the best outcome, whatever it looks like. And in order to do that, you need to have your own cup full, and you need to really have the garden of your heart. If I'm going to get really into metaphors, really it's time to fill up with like a lot of like nourishing things to remind you why the world is beautiful, things to give you a sense that you too can take your life and you can put seeds, you can actively cultivate some of these good emotions into your life, and you can actively cultivate coming up to a field full of weeds and boulders and sticks and things that like are in the way, and you can make a change. Like when you're in a position in life where everything feels so out of control, weirdly enough, bear with me here, because I know this is going to seem really weird, but weirdly enough, that's the time to play Stardew Valley. Why? bear with me as I explain this. Because you can see visually that field full of weeds and boulders and branches, and you can step into that space, and even though there's a lot of things in your life that are out of your control, you can have some autonomy over your actions and you can make a change. That's why whenever my life feels like this, I actually sincerely believe that there's a lot of strength to be had for the people who enjoy video games in being able to step into something like Stardew Valley and see that your actions do have positive results, even though there's something else in your life where it seems out of your control. And then as you work on those things, and as you plant your turnips, and as you harvest your first parsnips, and as you go ahead and you put your first adorable little sheep into its pen, and you give villagers gifts, and you see that your actions can have positive consequences, even when there's something big going on in your life that you can't control. It gives you that sense of stability. It gives you that sense of control over your life, or at least your emotions, in a way that can give you a sense of groundedness to then turn away from your Stardew Valley farm and step back into your life and meet whatever you find there with your head held high and your feet firmly on the ground. So that's one of the powers, I think, that can show up in video games or in anything else where you feel the connection. It doesn't have to be video games, it doesn't have to be Stardew Valley, it doesn't have to be like anything that passive. If you want to actually farm and garden, if you like to like sit down and you like to create crafts, if maybe you find yourself going running more often, whatever it is that makes you feel like your actions have a positive consequence on your life and the world, and that you do have the ability to affect positive change, that's an amazing thing to do when there's something else in your life that's outside of your control right now. So there's my speech about why I think video games can be amazing for you, and why it's not a weird juxtaposition to have some big event going on in your life and then still making time to work on a little pixel farm. Because those two things can actually end up blending together really well if you're doing it with that mindset, I feel. So now that I've rambled about, I over the years, I've thought a lot about how video games can actually really positively impact your life and even the way that you see the world. We can meet here for my next TED Talk about how I feel that the Sims genre has been amazing for being able to figure out your own needs, your own moods, and how it helped me so much as a teenager. But we'll shove that to the side for now and move on to the cozy curse. Okay, so now that the Seri rambling speech and the explanation of the more serious things going on in the background are done, I want to mention the cozy curse to you guys. What is the cozy curse? The cozy curse is, with all of these other things going on in my life, I was feeling swept away and almost a little desperate with how many cozy games have come out in the last 2 months. Everywhere I'm turning now, we are finding the most adorable games. There's literally a game called Cozy Grove that came out last year that I want to play. We have Coral Island, which has been so amazing. It is possibly already one of my favorite farming games I have ever played in my life, and I've played a lot of them. We have even games like Beacon Pines, which has a little bit more of like a thriller horror genre to it, also look absolutely adorable. Oh my goodness, like I actually have a whole list. Let me go ahead and grab my Joy Journal because I wrote down a list of just all of these ridiculous cozy games. Not to mention the Planet Zoo update with Twilight Pack, which has been really fun, and the fact we've resumed stepping into zoo crafting for the final season, because I'm never stopping this one, we're just going to keep counting. But yeah, there's Stardew Valley is apparently going to have an update that he's working on and probably going to drop and surprise on us. I'm hoping around Christmas, but he can do whatever he wants. There's Witchy Life Story, Traveler's Rest, Potion Permit, Cozy Grove, which is older, Bear and Breakfast, which many of you guys have asked me to play, Wildflowers, which our patrons really love, Little Witch in the Woods, No Place Like Home, which has had a lot of updates and is absolutely adorable, Coral Island that has come out, Witchwood, there's other Harvest Moon games, Rune Factories, Story of Season games. That's not even touching on the coziness of our Sims 4 legacies. Yeah, there's a lot of cozy going on right now. And would you believe it, until very recently, I thought it was a curse. Because how was I going to decide what game to play? What was I going to do with my schedule? It felt like an element of overwhelm trying to look at all of these and figure out what I and everyone else are going to enjoy the best out of them, because it felt like there's too many to have them all going at once or to try like all of these series. And then, you know, last night I was sitting down and I realized this isn't a cozy curse. This is a cozy spell that I'm going to turn around and turn into a cozy season, because that's what I need in my life right now. And maybe that's what you guys could use in your life right now. I love the way we really start celebrating the concept of cozy in autumn. And I think that it is a darn pity that kind of the capitalistic avalanche of the winter season comes and sweeps us right out of our warm little nook surrounded by fallen leaves, burning candles, and cups of tea. So this year, you know what? Because I struggle so much in winter with seasonal affective disorder anyway, which I'm doing much better about now, by the way, but because I'm not really like a snow-loving kind of person at this exact moment of my life, and because I could really use the nourishment of more of that deep coziness, we're gonna have a whole cozy season. I'm gonna take this cozy curse of overwhelm of what the heck should I play among all of these so that you guys and I will all enjoy the adventures together, and we're gonna turn it into an entire cozy season. It might last all winter. I don't know. It's gonna last however long that I feel like, you know what, I just wanna sink myself like knee deep in the coziness. I wanna have dozens of farms that I'm suddenly taking care of. I want to have all of the cozy games that we step in and out of. And I want your guys' suggestions on more of them to add to the list, because it's going to be the cozy season. And if you too also enjoy that feeling of coziness, of the crisp autumn air, of the fallen leaves, of the tea, of the sweater season, which really until recently I haven't really loved. And also you can also enjoy the concept of coziness without all of those things that have unfortunately taken on a little bit of a capitalistic tone in the last few years. Cough, cough. Anyway, also if you're among the Australians, I hope you're having a wonderful time with your spring gardens, and I'm very envious of that. Or your summer gardens, I think, by now. But if you too want to stay in that cozy season, then get ready, because what we're going to do is I'm going to start sampling those cozy games. I normally stick to a series for a long time, but we're just going to start taste testing. It's also like the season of abundance and harvest and the idea of having delicious foods. You don't go to Thanksgiving and eat everything 100%. So this time around, I'm going to start nibbling at a whole bunch of different cozy games. And I need your guys' suggestions on more games that we could add to the list. And we're going to have some taste tests, which I've not ever really done on the channel before. So what I'm going to need from you guys is, as I start introducing things like Witchy Life Story or Wildflowers or another season of Stardew Valley, we might just have a taste test of like 3 or so episodes of that, unless I really, really love the flavor and decide to dive deep into it for a long time. And I need you guys to let me know, like, in the comments of those videos, or like liking it so I can sort everything and see how many likes or comments things have, so that I know which ones really grab you, which ones really make you go, oh, this is a really nice one. I really want to see where this goes. This seems really fun. I need you guys to speak up on these kinds of taste tests so that I know which one we might sit down and really enjoy for several weeks or even months ahead. And there's not really a lot of pressure, because even if we have a taste test of one and it didn't turn out to be quite as popular, because the cozy season is going to potentially last all through winter, then we'll come back to it later. So there's going to be some taste testing as we figure out what we like from all of these abundance of cozy games. I have some really fun ideas about what I would like to do for Stardew Valley, and having our son in Stardew Valley actually inherit a new farm that we're going to send him to in another Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons or Rune Factory game. And then once he has a child, so once our character in that game has a child, then we're going to go ahead and have that child inherit a different farm on a different game. So we're basically going to start a cozy Harvest Moon / Story of Seasons / Rune Factory / miscellaneous farming game, like generational series, where we're going to follow each generation, and the goal of each series is to get married and have a kid fairly soon, because we can't move on to the next version of that Harvest Moon, Story of Seasons, Rune Factory game until we have a child. And that, I think, would be really fun. So we'll talk more about that idea too. Of course, I'm going to be working more with our Sims, because even when things are chaotic with them, there's nothing as cozy for me as the Green family or just puttering around in zoo crafting. And I feel shiny now. I feel like, just thinking about all those things, just thinking about all those adventures to do with you guys, I feel fantastic. I feel like even though there may be a big thing that's outside of my control, here is a place that I can control. Here are wonderful, fun, nourishing adventures we can all go on together that I hope will provide you guys with that sense of a warm bowl of vegan chicken soup for the soul, basically. And will help you find just a sense of groundedness and just being able to let all of your worries slide off your shoulders for the time we spend in our adventures together every day, and just get the peace and the nourishment and like a good warm hearty meal and a nice coziness to be able to take into the rest of your life. That's my goal for cozy season. That's my goal for our community and our channel right now. And I really am looking forward to talking with you guys and talking to the people on our Patreon Discord about what we could do to bring the heart of that out to all of you. And all of that said, don't worry if you're like, but I really love Slime Rancher and I really love some of the wacky sciencey things we do here. There'll still be those adventures too. It's not going to be all cozy all the time, but we're definitely going to start taste testing and adding in a lot more. So there we go. There's my idea for what I'm going to do to become a little bit stronger so that I can just be grounded in my life for my family, for myself, and for you guys. And there is really a glimpse of the heart of what I want our community to be about. Something that's a little bit deeper than just something to laugh at for 20 minutes a day. Something that can really teach you guys maybe some skills in its own silly way of how even when everything seems overwhelming, we do have the ability to have positive changes in our life. You are capable of that. Even if it's in a small way, reminding ourselves like, oh, I planted a parsnip in Stardew Valley, and look, I watered it, and look, I harvested it and was able to give it as a gift to a villager. even something as small as that breaks down the idea that you're helpless when there is something big going on in your life that you can't control, and reminds you that you are capable of creating something beautiful. And that's what I want. That's what I want for myself and for all of you. So there's the update. I've rambled quite a bit. I'm told that's okay. But please, 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 I'm going to be searching these comments for suggestions of cozy games that you guys think we should play. They can be old games, they can be new games, they could be like the Harvest Moon genre, anything that just makes you feel like, yeah, that's the nourishing the soul bowl of soup. And we'll carry on with some of our other silly adventures, never fear. And I'm really looking forward to ditching the capitalistic concept of the December season and just carrying on with cozy and pretending like, you know, autumn has never ended for a little while. At least till spring. Spring beats autumn in my books, because I'm addicted with all the concept of new seeds and leaves and flowers and cherry blossom season and stuff like that. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna sip my tea. I'm gonna sit down and figure out what we're gonna start experimenting with our cozy season. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys. Thank you.